everybody, and welcome back to Tales of Wanderlust. If you want a kitchen tour and to see some tips and tricks for storage as well as all of the gear, then stay tuned. All right, my GoPro is precariously hanging onto my jacket right now. We're gonna see how long this actually lasts and if I can actually get through this whole video. So today what I'm gonna do is take you on a tour of my kitchen. I have lived in the base camp now for over 3 years full time. And during that time, I've actually kept storage and the different gear that I carry about the same. I cook most of my meals here in the base camp because I boondock majority of the time, so there aren't takeout restaurants right down the road. What I'll do is I will show you everything that I carry. It is enough for me to cook all of my meals, and also I don't store just kitchen stuff. I do store all of my clothes, all of my toiletries, so I'll kind of break down where everything lives. I think the easiest way to do this tour is to just start in one corner and go all the way around. So starting over in the passenger side of the kitchen, up in the cargo net, there is no kitchen stuff. That is all of my toiletries. I have a small plastic bin where I keep my daily toiletries, like my toothbrush, toothpaste, things like that. I have a larger fabric bag where I keep less used items, like my first aid kit, extra supplies, those kind of things. And then you'll see I just throw my extra stuff up there. So I have my makeup bag, Q-tips, and all of that. There really is no storage in the actual wet bath other than for shampoo or items that can get wet. So you really need to find some place for your toiletries outside of the wet bath. Then there's a little bit of wall space. So I've actually put some personal photos up on that side. One is on copper and one is on tin, I think. And it's just all taped up there with double-sided tape, and it holds really well. Then on the storage shelf that comes in the 16, it's funny, I actually don't really use anything on that shelf. So I've got a mix of toiletries and food items. So I've got my honey spray bottles, like perfume. I have some extra cotton squares, things like that. It's just a place to store things. They're light enough that I don't take those things out when I move the trailer. They stay there all the time. Underneath that, there are 3 hooks that come stock in the base camp. I hang my travel mugs on those. So these are the metal lightweight travel mugs. One of them is from my parents as a gift. This one is from when I went on a trip to Iceland. These do come off when I travel. I just throw them on the bed. You will see that they do get damaged and chipped if they start banging against anything. And also the hard metal would damage and scrape the wall just from swinging. So these definitely do come off. Then on the last hook, I have some pot holders that my mom crocheted me and gave me when I hit the road. I don't have any reason for pot holders. If I ever have a hot pot, I leave it on the stove or I put it on my wood cutting board. But those just hang there more for a sentimental and decor type of thing. Then in the corner beside the sink, you'll see I shove a lot in there. I have a large oval ceramic white bowl. I don't suggest having a ceramic bowl with you. It's fragile, it is extremely heavy. I also have to take that and move it onto the bed every single time I move, but that has sentimental value. When I bought my first house, one of my first shopping trips was with my dad to pick up some kitchen things for it. He ended up buying me that bowl and it always sat on the counter. So when I cleaned out my storage unit 2 or more years ago, I didn't have a place for that because everything I owned was in either the base camp or my vehicle. So that sits on my counter now. It holds my fruit, my onions, different things like that. But it actually fits and tucks in that corner kind of nice. It then creates a divider so I can just shove stuff behind it. So I have a small Ninja blender behind it, which I use to make smoothies. I have made frozen margaritas with it as well. And then I have some lotion tucked back there. And then my large box of granola, which doesn't really fit anywhere else. In front of that, I have a towel that always sits here. That never moves. And then when I wash dishes, they just sit on that towel to dry. These kitchen towels are really nice because I carry, I think 10 of them, 15 of them. They get dirty all the time. I only do laundry every 3 or 4 weeks, so I find I'm swapping those out quite a lot. In the sink itself, I do have a bowl, and this is, so there's water flying off of it. This is one of the ways that I extend my gray/black tank during boondocking trips. So in the base camp, it is a gray and black tank. You've only got one tank. So when I wash dishes or wash fruit or something like that, if I am able to dump gray water outside, I collect the water in the bowl and I dump it outside. So when I'm using the sink and I'm brushing my teeth, washing my hands, washing fruit, this is what collects the water. It actually sits really nicely in the sink. There's a little bit of room on the side still, which is really nice. So if there's any really gross water or something that can't go outside, I can just swing the faucet around, let that water still go down the sink drain, and then swing it back and collect the rest of the water in the bowl. One thing to keep in mind is if you are dumping gray water outside, make sure the area you are staying allows it. So out here in the desert, for example, you have to be really careful with the water because if you dump too much, you will cause unnatural erosion. There's also some places like wildlife areas, things like that, where you can't actually dump your water. So I can't always collect and dump the gray water, but when I can, that's really nice. It's also nice because when I move the RV, I just take the soap and everything off the counter, dump it in that bowl, close up the sink, and that's how all of that travels. Then over here, you'll see I have hand soap and dish soap. There's no sink in the bathroom, so when you need to wash your hands, you do it here in the kitchen sink. I also always have my coffee mug on the counter. I use this Brew Buddy, so there's actual coffee grounds in there. In the morning, I drink my coffee. When it's empty, I put the Brew Buddy in there. I let that dry during the day. And then in the evening, the grounds are usually pretty dry out here in the very dry desert, and I can just throw them in the garbage. So that's how I do my coffee. And then if I am carrying wine, so this is my current bottle that was on sale at the grocery store, it'll sit up here on the counter. Sometimes I have room for it down here in the cupboard, but as you'll see in a minute, that is packed right now because I just got back from the grocery store a couple of days ago. For the paper towel, I couldn't find a holder that I really liked, so I ended up making one. So this is just 2 carabiners off of Amazon. They twist lock on there, so I don't have to worry about them coming off. They're red, so they match the cargo bars. And then this is just a paracord braided cord that I ended up building to hang the paper towel off of. The carabiners are wrapped in paracord as well, just so they don't scratch the paint off the cargo net. And then over on the side here, the Revereware is special to me and my family. So this is a really small pot. It's really only good for melting things like butter. I really don't use it. It's collected a lot of dust, but it hangs here just on another small carabiner, purely for sentiment and for decoration. So going down to this cupboard here, this is my main kitchen storage area. So up on the top here, the Basecamp comes with a cutlery holder. It's made out of wood, it's nice, but it doesn't come on these slides. You actually have to pick it up, pull it out, and it's a huge pain. So these are just slides from Lowe's that my dad helped me install. It was not easy because it is a very tight space to try to get a screwdriver to get everything in, get it perfectly level, but absolutely worth it. This is one of the best things we've done. It makes it so easy. So in here, I do have metal cutlery. So this is also the cutlery from my house. It's one of those things that, yes, metal cutlery adds a lot of weight, but it made it feel like home by having it. I carry 5 of each, 5 forks, 5 small spoons, 5 bread knives, and then I carry 2 large soup spoons. Over on the side, I carry paring knives. So I use these all the time. I have a larger one for my knife set, and then I have these small paring knives, which are really awesome and easy to clean. I also have things like a potato peeler, chopsticks, an orange peeler, and I actually carry lobster eating tools. And the reason is Napoleon gets lobster every year for his birthday. So these are literally used once a year. But again, something I had in my house, so I brought with me. I have the world's tiniest wooden spatula. This came out of a small backpacking set. And I actually use this more often than my big wood spoon because this is easier to get to. So if I'm making noodles or something like that, I stir it with this. In one of the small back sections, I have a lot of bar tools, if you want to say. This is a wine bottle opener. It's one of like the Butler style ones. I got this when I was on a wine tour in Napa Valley with some friends. So it's kind of like a souvenir sort of tool. I bought this when I was in Idaho. It is actually antler and it was handmade. I've never used it, but it was a souvenir, so I still have it. And then I carry the measuring tool so I can make margaritas or mixed drinks here on the road. In the back area of the drawer, I have your standard wing wine bottle opener. This thing can be dangerous, I have learned. I took out a huge chunk of my thumb when I was boondocking in Colorado, and I had to super glue my thumb back together. So be careful if you're using one of these. They can be really painful. Then I have a can opener. Use this thing all the time. It's just typical can opener. It is big and bulky, but it works. Then I carry a thermometer. Jasper's moving around, so hopefully the camera doesn't fall. And then I carry this small knife sharpener. So this thing's great. It doesn't require any power. It's just 2 metal wheels. And all you do is you take your knife, don't put any pressure, just let the weight of the knife bring it across, and you just sharpen the knife like that. And I'm amazed at how well this does sharpening the knives. So that's everything in the top drawer. Down in the bottom, it is chaos right now. So I went grocery shopping, and I know I'm going to be in remote New Mexico for a while, so I stocked up. Usually this looks a lot neater. I have a white plastic bin that I just got from Home Goods down on the bottom, and that's where I keep canned goods, glass bottles, like tequila, different things like that. I have a small plastic shelf that is attached to the side. That is where my olive oil, breadcrumbs, vinegar, things like that stay. All of that does not have to move when I tow the trailer. It can all stay put. My strainer for pasta and noodles just hangs off a command hook here on the door. There is actually a pretty good amount of space in this cupboard going back, but I do have a 2000 watt inverter built in back there. So that takes up a little bit of the room, but beside that inverter, I can still store all of my plates and all of my bowls. So my plates and bowls are GSI enamelware. The reason I went with these is they're lightweight, they're very durable. GSI has good reviews, and these things have held up over the 3+ years of use. And with the bowls, I can actually put them directly on the heat of the stove and warm up leftovers. So my trick is, for things like Chinese takeout leftovers, I will throw those in the bowl. I will put a little bit of water at the bottom just so the food doesn't burn. And I put that directly on the burner on low heat. And then I stir it every few minutes, and it actually warms everything up. I don't have a microwave. So these are the creative ways that I go without having a microwave. So with plates, I carry 4 plates. I travel solo, so that is fine. I carry 2 of these bowls. I actually carry 2 of these large bowls. One which always stays in the sink, and then one that is clean and stored down by the inverter as well. And that is what I use when I need to mix up food. So if I'm making hamburgers and I need to mix everything up, I do it all in the larger bowl. Then underneath that cupboard is a small shelf above. And on that shelf, I have 3 plastic containers, again, that I just bought at Home Goods. The one all the way directly to the back holds my knives and my spatulas. So when I was in college, which is now over 10 years ago, I took a cooking class. It was the most expensive class I ever took because they required you to buy this really nice set of knives. So again, these knives came with me because I cleared out my storage unit and I didn't want to get rid of them because they are really good. So I have a fillet knife. I use this when I'm trimming chicken, or if Michael's along and he goes fishing and brings home fish, we actually do use the fillet knife for that. Then I have a toner, knife thing, knife stick. Can't remember the name of it. Never used it. It just sits back there, and it probably weighs about 1 pound. So really effective use of weight. Then I have a large butcher knife. I use this thing all the time. Then I have a bread knife. I really don't ever use this. If I need to, I just rip bread with my hands. And then I carry 2 of these spatulas. In the beginning, I used the bigger one to flip eggs, but now I can flip eggs with the little one. It is just a lot easier to use. So the big one really hasn't been used in probably over a year. It's also stored. So if I had to give advice, I would say bring paring knives, bring a butcher knife. If you're gonna go fishing, bring some sort of fillet knife, 1 spatula, and call it a day. The other 2 containers that slide back there are sitting on top of non-slip paper. One of them just holds Ziploc bags, aluminum foil, extra sponges, things like that. This one holds kitchen accessories. So these tongs, which I cannot find a link to and I cannot find them anywhere anymore, I bought maybe 10 years ago. They're Farberware tongs, but they're nice and small and narrow instead of the really big ones. So I use these a lot. I have the lid for my Yeti, a plastic serving spoon. I use this when I make soup, so not that much, but it does come in use. A whisk, very handy. A set of measuring cups. I don't have an oven, so I can't really bake, so sometimes these do come in handy for some recipes. For the most part, I don't use them as much because when I cook, I don't really do exact measurements. Then I do have a nice set of wooden spoons. You really only need one wooden spoon with you. These my mom gave to me a long time ago. They are expandable hot dog or s'more cooker stick fork things. These are great if you ever use a campfire and you are going to cook over it, but I don't have fires that often. Being alone, I don't feel like dealing with the mess or the smell of smoke. And in the summertime when I'm in Colorado and stuff, there's usually fire bans. So these are with me, but I don't really use them. So out of all of this stuff, what would I recommend bringing? A couple measuring cups. You don't need a whole set. And then these 3 tools. Bring a whisk, a plastic spoon, and some tongs. All right, that is everything in there. So then over here by the stove, when I am parked, my pot and my skillet stay up here all the time. When I travel, they actually slide in right underneath the counters, but I only carry 1 pot with me. This is, I'm not sure how many liters. It's an old Revereware pot. These were manufactured close to where I grew up, so Revereware is a big thing in my family. My 10-inch deeper skillet, so you'll see that the sides are taller than a normal skillet. This is what I use day in, day out for basically 90% of what I cook. Hot water, for the most part for my coffee, is what I use this for, and then noodles or pasta, or when I'm making soup. Everything else I stir fry. Tacos, chicken, everything else. So I absolutely love the skillet. One of the reasons I carry a skillet, even though it weighs, I don't know, 3 pounds itself, is because skillets are really easy to clean. So you cook in it, and then you just wipe it out with a paper towel, throw the paper towel out, and you're good to go. Then there's the fridge. I have a separate video on food planning and how I pack the fridge, so I'll link to that, but you can actually get a good amount in here. Up here are just some spices that I commonly use. And that brings me to this side of the kitchen. So to start up here in the cargo net, this is where I store a lot of my lighter weight dry goods. So I have a lot of bread right now, but hamburger buns, bagels, extra bread, the tea that I drink, all of those kind of get shoved in the corner. In the center are these same plastic bins that I had my toiletries in over on the other side, because they actually fit up here in the cargo net. And I just store the miscellaneous lighter weight items in there. Rice, quinoa, trail mix, vitamins, tortillas, and then it's easy to get to. I have seen other base camp owners where these cargo nets have actually snapped while traveling. So I do not leave any weight up in these when I'm moving the RV. All of these baskets do come out. The lightweight bread and stuff can stay up there when I'm towing. Then I have a lot of stuff hanging off the cargo net. So I have a small Bose speaker. So that's what I listen to when I'm cooking. I usually have loud music going. I hang my sunglasses up here, extra hair clips. This is kind of Jasper's side. So his leash, his treat pouch, his car harness, different things like that, all go right over here. On the counter itself, I have a wood cutting board that Michael made me, and that just always sits there. Again, this is more of a luxury item, a nice to have. It is pretty heavy. You could do plastic cutting boards instead. I do have a small one that I store underneath the cupboard for when I do chicken or meat. I kind of use this window area to store paperwork, notebooks, things like that. And then over in the corner here, I keep more spices. I keep my grocery bags, which I end up doubling as garbage bags. My bear spray is on the shelf down there. And then I also have my cleaner. Zarkor, who does the back window cover, they also make these big cup holders. I didn't like the look of it on the side of the base camp, but for holding my cleaner, it works perfect. So it's actually taped to the wall down there. The cleaner just sits right in it, and it's always there. I don't have to worry about storing it elsewhere or it falling when I'm moving. Then down here are these storage compartments. These are actually all of my clothes. So underwear, socks, all of that goes up here. Down in the bottom one is all of my pants, shirts, everything. Jackets are stored in the truck, but everything else fits between these 2 cupboards. Down below that are 2 bins, and that is more cleaning stuff in the white bin, and then electronics in the right-hand bin. The reason I have different colored bins is there's actually a slight slope in the way that counter is. Then on the edge, one of those plastic bins actually doesn't fit. You can't nicely pull it out because it's just ever so slightly smaller. So that's why I have the black bin over there. And that's it. I feel like I'm forgetting something. That is everything that I carry in my kitchen. So I can cook all the meals that I personally like to eat with the tools that I have. The cast iron is my absolute favorite. So if you're gonna buy one thing that I recommend in this video, I recommend getting the cast iron because it makes cooking so easy And if you ever do have a campfire, you can take that cast iron and put it right on top of that fire. So if you have any questions on anything that I carry or in any of the storage, feel free to comment below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Today's video is sponsored by Waggle Pet Monitor. It connects directly to the Verizon cell network, so there's no Wi-Fi needed, and I get real-time alerts on my phone if it goes above or below the preset temperature that I have selected, or outside of the geofence radius that I have provided. This is how I keep peace of mind, leaving Jasper and Napoleon behind. So if you're interested in trying it out, check out the link below to check out their monthly subscription options, and our code TAILS50 will give you 50% off the monitor.